When was the first time y'all first started hearing Henry?
Well, my parents built a house in Duncanville, Monticello Estates, back in 1976. I would say probably 3, maybe 4 years after we had moved in, we started hearing things. We haven't never seen nothing. Hadn't ever seen nothing move or anything, but it was just we just hear things. Heard Henry like hitting the wall. Just sounds like things fall. So probably about 3 to 4 years after we moved into the house.
How many times have you heard Henry?
I have heard him 3 to 4 times. Uh, good times. I mean, that I know for sure that was him. I've heard things, bump, hit, knock, and we just kind of got so used to things that he was doing that we really just kind of passed it off as, oh, well, that's Henry. But I had 3 things that happened to me that we knew for sure that was Henry.
Do you have any stories about him?
Yes, I do. The first one I had, I was probably about maybe 7 or 8. It was late one night. We'd all went to bed, and we heard the back door coming from our carport open, and it makes a distinct sound that we knew it was it because it had a screen door to it, and that opened. We heard it closing, and that door opened, and so my dad got up and he walked in, and we were all just kind of, me and my mom were just kind of sitting there in my room right there by the hallway, and really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what had happened. We just heard the door open, and when my dad went in there, the door was closed. It was still locked, screen door locked. Everything was together. There was nothing open. Nothing had been popped open. Nothing been shut or closed. Nothing had fell in the kitchen or anything. So we just kind of thought, well, that's weird, and really didn't know, about Henry at that time until, a few things through the years has come along. I mean, has been up since then, and so we just kind of, my second one that I had an encounter with was I had came in from, it's the summertime, we had been riding 4-wheelers, and we were going to go to the mall, and friends that went in our neighborhood and I grew up with, we were going to go to the mall, and we, going to run in. I was going to hop in, get a shower, and get ready and meet back up, and we go on out to the mall. And so when I got out of the shower, I heard somebody walk down the hall by it's a carpeted hallway, and carpet makes a distinct sound when people walk on it, and I thought it was my sister had come home from school. She was going to college, university, and I thought she had came home to get something, and I heard it walk back by the door, and I had called my sister's name, and she didn't answer, and I was like, okay, well, I guess she's not going to talk to me or or say anything to me. So anyway, I got out and changed clothes and so I called my mom at work, and I said, hey, did Sabrina come home? And she said, I don't know. She said, you'll have to call her. So I called her at her apartment, and this was before cell phones, and my sister answered, and I said, hey, I said, was you home? And because I got to thinking, I said, there wasn't no way she could have made it from where we lived to the university in that short amount of time. And she said, no. She said, I didn't come home. And so I said, okay. I said, well, all right. Well, I thought I heard you come home. And so I hung up and I called my mom back, and I said, well, I said, Henry has struck again. I said, I guess he walked down the hall and walked back out. And so we just kind of laughed and just, shrugged it off. And so, later through the years, my mom, she would hear things hit the wall. I mean, you would hear it go boom, 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 boom down the wall, and my mom would say, "Okay, Henry, that's enough. You're done. Go on, and it'll stop. It'll quit." And so we just kind of laughed at that and shrugged it off again. And so I had gotten I got a job working 311 right out of high school, and I came home that night, and I was sitting up, watching TV, and about ready to go to bed, and I heard it was during the wintertime. My parents had a wood stove in the basement, and I had gotten in some wood to burn that night, or for a few more days, and all of a sudden you just heard, it was just the most awfulest racket you had heard in the basement. We had the door open to let the heat come up from the basement, and it sounded like every bit of that wood that I had gotten in had fell on the cement floor, and it makes a distinct sound. It just I don't know, but you know what it is when you hear it, and it even woke my mom up. She was asleep. She came in, and she was like, she thought that I had fell or had fallen down the stairs or something, and I said, "No, I'm fine. I'm just been sitting here." I said, "I heard it." And so we got up and we walked, we just kind of said, well, I told her, I said, "I think all the wood has fell in the basement." And I said, "I'll go down there and stack it back up." And so she walked down with me, and when we got downstairs, we cut the light on, and every bit of that wood was still stacked on the between the two support poles. None of it was on the ground. None of it was on the floor. None of it was ever, even in the, we thought it had failed. We thought it had, knocked over or whatever. But anyway, it was kind of a joke that me and my mom kind of looked at each other and said, well, I guess Henry has struck again. And my mom, she said again, she said, "Okay, Henry, that's not funny." And we never heard it again the rest of the night. And, and I moved out, a few years later, and, my mom said she still hears stuff at night. They'll hear stuff, in the kitchen or in their bedroom or, in the basement or whatever. And they just said, well, there's Henry. And they just kind of laugh and go on about their world, about their business.